What's up everybody, this is Jared Barron, coming at you with a proof of concept video. So, we've pretty much finished the bulk of the stats series. I still want to make a video on color mutations, but now it's time to really push some of the concepts that I have been talking about and refine this method and basically prove that it works. So, don't forget, if you haven't already, like that video. Hit the subscribe button if you're enjoying this series and if you want to come back and see some more. And in the meantime, I've got all 20 level 225 Rexes here, and I just like spawned them at level 150 and then force tamed them 20 times and lined them up like this. And so what I'm gonna do next is I've got the Super Spyglass mod on this server, and I am going to figure out who among these has the best stats in each category, group them up, and then we'll see where we're at. Okay, so I did what I said I was going to do, and I got these 7. I said 6, but if you count movement speed, here's the Super Spyglass. If you count movement speed, that's 7, and that counts for levels, right? Even though they're wasted, even though they don't get realized in anywhere except for torpor, it counts for levels, and that's what we're going for in this. And by the way, in case I haven't mentioned, the thing that I really want to push here is I want to push the system to try to get as high a dino level as possible. So I'm not really going to be focusing on any particular stat, but it would be really cool if we could get like a level 1000 anything. And this is vanilla. This is on... I mean, I have like the Super Spyglass mod, and I've got some incubation mods and stuff, but nothing that changes the stats of the dinos or the levels or anything like that. So these are vanilla mechanics, even though, I mean, it would take me years to do this video if I was doing it full vanilla, but that's fine. So now what I'm gonna do is not force you to watch, but I'm going to try to combine all these stats into 2 identical pairs of male and female, and let's see what we get from there. Captain's log, day 2. I've managed to get all of the stats of the 6 best of all those Rexes that we had into these 3. 1 male, 1 male, I said, and 2 females. These were born, I think I had a female and then I got a pair of twins. 1 male, 1 female. So what we're gonna do now is in the how mutations work in ARC video. Remember, I said you need a pair of identical males and females that serve as the Laius and Jocasta, and then you breed mutations straight down the line, and you breed the baby with the parent, and then you breed the baby of that baby with all the way back here with the parent, and so on and so forth. We're gonna push that as far as we can until we've reached the mutation cap, which it occurs to me we may not, because these are fresh, right? These have 0 mutations, and so it's quite possible that we could just keep using that method, keep breeding down the line, and potentially get infinite mutations. And so I'm gonna come back when I'm like at 350-ish, and I'll update you on the progress where we are. For your records, what we've got here, we've got 4, so just going down the line: stamina 40, food 44, oxygen 41, weight 40, melee 44, movement speed 41, and HP 44. Those are the number of levels that have gone into that, and you can do better than this, but for starting out with 20 random Rexes, this isn't really that bad. It's actually pretty good if you think about it. So I'll be back. Captain's log, day 45. I'm starting to lose my mind. Oh boy, have we done a lot. Okay, I have, so here are my original 3 that you just saw. This is the male, and in here 295 and 295. Those are the same 3 that I talked about just a minute ago, and they are the anchors to this whole process. I have reached level 351 right here with this one. Okay, along the way, and this took thousands and thousands. What are you doing? Thousands of eggs. And along the way, I saved some of the more fun mutations that I've gotten in terms of color. These also act as sort of save points. So I can, just in case I accidentally delete the wrong Rex or whatever, I'm only ever like a step behind where I was. So, you know, it goes from 305, 299, and they don't always go up right away because sometimes these are the fresh mutations and not the ones that I'm actually breeding with the original pair. And really cool stuff. Now, let me explain to you the method that I'm using, because it's altered. It's basically a combination of the two methods that I outlined in the two of the videos, the mutation video and the breaking the mutation cap video. It would be, I would have the most control if I followed the mutation video, but I'm not actually sure that that ends up being the most efficient. And so you integrate principles of the mutation cap video, which basically says that as long as one of your tames is fresh, has no mutations whatsoever, then you'll never hit the mutation cap. You always are able to get another one. And so let me demonstrate how that's working. I go to here to ancestors. On the matrilineal side, the counter is at 1,375,640 out of 20. 6th generation. On the patrilineal side, 687,819 out of 20. But I'm still getting mutations. And that'll go up by millions and then billions and probably then trillions. But I will still be getting mutations because the 295s have no mutations on, you know, the patrilineal side. If I, you know, end up with a female out of there and I breed it with that. And on the matrilineal side, if I end up with a male like this and I end up breeding with these two. So, what have we ended up with for stats at this point? So you'll remember at first we had 20 force tamed Rexes at level 225. I bred all those stats together without mutations to 295. It's you know, quite possible or even probable that if you're playing for months and months, you'll end up taming more than 20 perfect Rexes and you'll end up with better stats than these out the gate. Right? I have nothing over 50, which, you know, is something that some people just look for as a matter of course. They won't take anything less than 50. What I mean by that is you can see under the, where it says level 295 under the word level, under stamina, it shows that it has 40 wild levels on top of the base. Some people won't take anything less than 50 levels above base. Wild levels. Right? But these are the stats we started out with. 40, 44, 41, 44, 44, and 41. And then 44 on HP. And right now we're at 46, 48, 55, 46, 54, 47, and 54 on HP. So, pretty good progress. And this has been, like, I've taken every mutation on top that I possibly can get. So, I'm going to keep grinding it out. I for sure want to get to 500, which sounds crazy given, like, in my brain, given how much time already it's taken me to do this. But I for sure want to get to 500. We'll see if I have the stamina to do 1,000 after that. I would love to, but I don't know, man. This is taking a really long time, but it'd be fun, like, as a challenge. And, yeah, so I'll be back. It occurs to me I never explained the method I said I was just going to explain. Okay, so what I would do from here, right? I have this super dino. I breed this like, I produce like 50 to 60 eggs with these two. And I have the server or the single player settings set so they just drop eggs, drop eggs, drop eggs. I do have one mod on here. Well, besides the super spyglass, I have one mod on here that is simply for collecting and incubating. It does nothing to affect the stats of the dinos, so I'm not influencing any of the breeding mechanics in any way, but I collect them in here, and it also picks up these ones, but I don't care about those. Okay, I put it on players only so they don't move around. They drop all the eggs, they get collected in here. Then I take all those eggs and I drop them all on the ground,
and then I turn players only off, and I watch the taming or the incubation bar go down to about 10 to 5%, and then I put players only back on, because what that'll do is it'll freeze time basically for the environment. So it freezes the incubation. And I pick them all back up, and then and then I turn players only back on or off. You know, I make it normal. And then I drop them one by one, and I look at the stats, and I delete them. I look at the stats. And then let's say I end up with a mutation. I stick that over there. That's where that one was. I think that one was the... That doesn't matter. I stick it over there, and I go through the whole batch, and all the mutations I get, I stick them over here. Then I try to breed all the mutated stats together with each other. So let's say there's one that gets like a 52... or sorry, in melee or something, gets a mutation in melee, and one gets a mutation in weight. I stick them over there, then I try to get a dino that has the weight and the melee in one that is the opposite gender of this one. Then I breed that one and the one that I produced and bring those two stats into this line. Then I rotate out, and we're back over here. If it's a male, it goes there. If it's a female, it goes here. Either way, then I go back and I produce about 60 eggs, something like that. If I get no mutations on those 60, I produce another 60, etc. So in case you're wondering how I've been testing all that, that's how I've been doing it. Okay, now I'll be back. Captain's log 420. My fingers are swollen and bleeding from spamming you. I'm starting to hallucinate. I've seen enough birth for 20 lifetimes. But I think my task has been accomplished. Okay. This is where I'm calling it, guys, and I'll tell you why. I have reached level 389 out of my base, like my highest base stat. Does the movement seem different for you, the camera? Oh. Anyway, this has been like a couple of weeks worth of work off and on, right? So I've got this level 389. I've also, like in the last batch of eggs, I got all of these. And I think there's one extra, which makes 5, which would put us at 399. If I bred all of the stats from these ones into this one, we'd be at 399. Now, the reason I'm stopped is because this is actually kind of disorienting. The camera lags behind now. I think this is a new change in one of the recent patches. Whatever. The reason I'm stopped is because I did some research online because I was interested in exactly if there was a hard cap, and I'd read it was something like 1200 and something. But oh yeah, and I wanted to make sure that I wasn't continuing to grind out when there was no reason to. And what the conclusion that I came to was that, okay, so here's the story. There was, this is a rumor that's probably true, there was some kind of ARC dev that accidentally spawned like level 1000 gigas or something on a server, and those gigas were bred and the eggs were widely distributed, and Wildcard officially considered that to be an exploit, obviously outside of the normal mechanics of official servers. And so what they did to combat that was they put a hard cap at 450 for dinos, and that seems to be the case whether it's leveled or whether that's the base stat. 450. So if your dino goes above 450, I believe just on an official server, the game, and it might take a couple days, but the game will delete it. Which means that once you get to about here, I mean, technically it would be right 79, because then you could put your 71 levels, which is how many levels you can put into a dino max thing. You can put your 71 levels into it, and 379, yeah, and that would be right. Well, you wouldn't want to get to 350, you'd want to get to 349 or 449, right? So this is about as far as you would want to reasonably go, because, you know, maybe you don't anticipate putting all 71 levels in. It gets the XP gets kind of weird after that, and you'll probably want to stop leveling a few short so that you don't accidentally stick a level into something, pop it over 450. So a couple of conclusions on the basis of that. If you look here, let me pull one of these. Let me pull this guy up next to what we originally had sort of set out as the super dinos that we bred on the basis of the 20 random max level Rexes. So you can see we went from like low to mid 40s on all mutated, or on all leveled, wild leveled stats, to 50s and 60 on melee, and I think I have a 60 over here and something else. Yeah, 61 in oxygen over there. I think there's a 60 HP. Yeah, there's a 60 HP right there on the 377. And so it's not like some of these stats, it's not a huge difference. Some of them are really consequential, like the melee doesn't show correctly in Spyglass mod, but we're talking about the difference between 483% and 595 base, which is huge for melee. It's also going to be huge for HP. 13.8 versus 10, and if you focused a lot more on, you know, that health, you could get 15-17k base, which of course will level better the higher the base stat. And now for this exercise, I took any mutation that I could, and so like that oxygen stat, you can see, was boosted by nearly 20 levels. The weight stat was boosted by 14, and it's kind of a negligible difference, like 900, 1,000 for all those mutation slots, for all those 20, like about 15 extra levels. What is it, 40 to 54? Yeah, 14 extra levels for weight. Do you want that? I don't know. It depends on what you want your dinos for. And so the first thing is that the method is sort of confirmed in the sense that you'll want to focus on single stats. You'll want to focus your stats. You theoretically, without that 450 hard cap, you would take whatever mutations you want and just keep cranking these levels up and up and up and up. And the benefit, of course, you'll get is torpor. But realistically, until or unless that cap is fixed, because 450 is very, you know, doable over the long term on official. Without, you know, with that cap still in place, you really have to focus on only taking the stats that you want, and it's going to take a long time. That'll make this whole process take, you know, 3 times longer even, but it's going to be worth it. The second thing to do is, or the second thing to note, I should say, is that in every instance, at least with the Rexes, in every instance, when I got a mutation, I also got a color mutation. Other people have said this, and I just wanted to confirm it. This, you know, this isn't even, I wouldn't even say this is a quarter of the mutations that I got. I just sort of put the ones I liked the best over here. And you'll notice in every, and they go from left to right, in every successive Rex, there is some kind of color mutation. So it's a really kind of telling way of figuring out when a mutation has happened, even if it's been on a recessive or one of the lower from the 295s, even if it's been a mutation on one of those. So anyway, I think that's all I'm gonna do for this video. I'm gonna maybe try something else. I'm not really sure what to do at this point, because the whole exercise was meant to push this way above 389. Like, I was planning on going to 1,000, and there's just no way of doing that. You can't do it. It's not possible. So what are you gonna do? If I had a suggestion to the devs, I would say a cap is a good thing, right? And maybe 450 is the number. So I'm sort of complaining because my experiment was semi cut short, but at the same time, like, if you have no cap on dinos, then what it means is that people can just keep pushing and pushing for the mere sake of levels, and it'll mean that on official servers, established tribes that have been playing on servers for years, you know, at this point, are going to be so inherently dominant because it will literally take years for any of the other tribes who started on that server or started playing Arc later to catch up. And in a PvP context, when you've got an alpha tribe or something that doesn't like people catching up, maybe on isolated servers that, you know, without cross transfer or whatever, even on an unofficial, whatever the case, if you've got a situation in which a server is persistent, not getting wiped, not having a level cap is going to make the stronger tribes even stronger. Like, you don't at that point create a condition whereby tribes that put in a lot of work but simply haven't been there for years can't compete. And that's not, I don't think, something that Wildcard wants. So I'm kind of in favor of the cap. Whether it should be 450, that can be something that we'll debate. You know, but at least for the sake of this demonstrates that this method, the one that I first outlined in the mutation video, I mean, it actually goes all the way back to the first video where you do stack combining to make these super dinos. Then you do the mutations with the keeping, you know, the 0/0s as the anchors, and then you push that mutation cap by introducing them systematically into the bred best spots. This was pushed far more than 80 levels. Well, not far more, but it could be, like, you know, that attests to this fact. Like 295, if there was a hard 2020 cap, then the best you could do is 80 more levels. And we've done here already, like, what is that, 94 extra levels above those, having introduced no new blood at all. So this was completely a product of these males, these females, and then the male who is somewhere there, this male and these females. Every single dino you see here was made using from the starting point of just these three. Okay, by the way, some fun thing you might want to see, the mutation counter, this one's over 600 million and this one is over 1 billion. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, this one's over 1 billion. You could go into the trillions. I mean, if you wanted to keep going and going and going, breeding them together, you can push that. I don't know why you would, but you can push that number as high as you want. So, method confirmed to the point at which the cap has been reached. So keep that in mind. You don't want to waste all your, even though it takes forever and ever and ever, you don't want to waste your mutated stats. You know, at that point you'll want to maybe get focused babies with only the inherited good stats that you want, and then continue the method from there. So if I wanted something that only did HP and melee, then I would focus on breeding this with these two and try to get the higher stats, the you know, 50, 60 and 58, right? And then the lower stats everywhere else. That's what I would do. And then you work on the mutations from there. I don't know if you can hear my cat. He's mouthing off in the next room. Wants to say hello. So anyway, that'll do it for me. Thanks for tuning in for this additional breeding video. I don't know when the next one will come because I don't know what else there is to say. I feel like I say that every video, but I don't really feel like just pushing these mutation videos out. I see that sometimes, like people who put out a lot of mutation videos. There is a certain amount of intrigue about, like, I'm gonna breed a bunch of Spinos that are pink and blue, and then I'm gonna breed a bunch of Thylas that are pink and blue, and that's cool, but you know, that's not really my thing. I'm more interested in the math and the method, and so I'll probably wait to put out another video until there's something else that I feel like needs to be said. In the meantime, if you have enjoyed this video, and I know it's been a little bit long, but this whole process has been long, and you know, that was the whole point of this thing, was to push this as far as I could. If you did like it though, don't forget, hit that like button, hit subscribe, feel free to join our Discord. All that stuff's in the description. And until the next time, I'll see you. Have a good one.